And welcome to this week's Party Invite show. We bring people closer together with games discussion, and streaming in all sorts of fun ways, which we're going to have tonight after the podcast. We'll continue our Pentiment session. This will be session 4 with our community voicing this reading-heavy game. Really looking forward to that, and if you'd like to see everything leading up to this point, we've got episodes 1 and 2 on YouTube, and then we've got 3 here on Twitch. 4 tonight. Eventually, you'll find all those on YouTube in the future, and you can find all of our deets at our website, partyinvite.games. But Pentiment is for later. Right now is the podcast, where the 3 of us are going to tell you every week what we've been playing. We have a wide variety of games that the 3 of us play, the 4 with Chris, who couldn't join us tonight. But my name is Tegan. I'm your usual host here. I am joined by the one and only Vilos.
That's me.
That's him. Just, wordsmith and ice cream enthusiast himself. And then over here, I'm not lying. I know. This over here is Sovereign Sid.
Hello. I'm watching you, Vilos. I saw you look back there. You know you haunted.
So I'm not spooked, but I am genuinely curious as to what the hell my webcam's doing, because there is nothing actually back there that's doing whatever it's doing on stream. So it's really funny.
You know, I
became they're like, it's working.
I just became the Ghost of Christmas Past during our Spelunky stream, the final one of the year. That was as we were talking. We're joking. We're like, well, what are the consequences if I don't finish this by the end of the year? As I'm fading away, it's like, well, I think if I don't win, this is the end of the show. So we made it. We survived. We made it into a new 2023 year, where we've got all sorts of fun things to look forward to. You can see a little bit of what Vilos is looking forward to on our website. He's got a wonderful blog that he can talk about on his own time, or here anytime you want, Carlos. But I want to start the show with getting a little upbeat. We've been doing this a lot lately, and I love this segment. Let's blissin' up. So we're going to talk about some things in the gaming and non-gaming world that made us smile this week. This could be anything in our personal lives that we're interested in sharing, or some gaming news that something that made you laugh, something that encouraged you, something that you created. So let's see. I might start with mine. It's short and simple. I've been finally taking a little better care of my body. On Wednesdays, I've dedicated the night to exercising, doing a bunch of stuff, which is why our schedule has changed, and there will be more details about that later. But, my body really hurts, but it's a good kind of hurt. I sit in a chair gaming a lot, so any step I can take towards making my body a little more resilient as I get older is great. My word to everybody, word to the wise, is don't sit in your gamer chair like a contortionist like I do. I've done it all my life, and it's just a big mistake. You shouldn't do it.
Sorry, I'm bisexual. I can't help but sit in chairs in funny ways, so my skeleton is doomed.
I'm also legally required to have like a big comfy sweatshirt that goes over the ends of my fingertips at all times. It's like your ID card, I've been hurting my knees by sitting like a fool in my chair, so I'm really trying to be more thoughtful about that. So if you're out there either in your gamer chair of your own, or you're listening to this in a vehicle, maybe just sit up a little, take a deep breath and assess the situation and sit up a little. Because, it's not going to get any easier for any of us. But feeling good about that. Hurting, but it's a good hurt. Then, that's other stuff in the future. We've got a change in our schedule next week. So I'll talk about that when we get to our discussion on replayability, because we've got a new feature starting up next week. I'll be here on Mondays to play a bunch of roguelikes and run-based games of all shapes and sizes. We'll have chat input on what will be played each week, and I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to die a whole lot, and we're going to love every minute of it. So that's on Mondays. On Tuesdays, if Chris was here, he'd be very excited to tell you that he'll be streaming each Tuesday night. We'll have a time frame more announced for you tomorrow. We do have a time frame, but I don't want to misquote it. But that'll be Mondays and Tuesday nights. You'll see the two of us. A lot more of Chris. Really excited about that. Chris plays lots of games, and this time we'll get to see it happen in real time. It's a real treat. I love seeing him. You guys know the belly laugh he's got when he just gets tickled by something in a game. I'm looking forward to that the most. Don't tell him though. Don't tell him. So that's all very exciting, and that's the only thing I smiled about this week. Enough of me. Let's talk about one of you guys. Who wants to go first?
Mine is very tiny, so it's gonna go real quick. The only thing that made me happy, period. No, the only thing I put on the list was just that I picked up Source of Madness, which is a really cool roguelike that you actually would probably enjoy. It's very much like Sundered, but even more grotesque.
Oh.
I really suggest that people go to superraregames.com and check out their stuff. I think the regular version of Source of Madness, the physical copy on Switch, I think the regular one sold out, and that's like $35 normally. But I got the steelbook because that's what I do. The steelbook edition is like $50, and through Super Rare Games, it's a limited edition physical distributor. But the thing with them, as opposed to a lot of the other companies, is that you'll actually get what you bought in about 2 weeks. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, Super Rare Games is one of my favorites.
Wait, that's possible?
Yeah, because they don't do the early pre-order thing. They do the hey, just buy it. So you do know the date really far in advance, but it's not an open pre-order like limited run and special reserve and stuff like that. But yeah, just wanted to give a shout out to Super Rare Games because I can't wait to have it. I already have Inmost, which is one of my favorite horror games of all time that had a beautiful steelbook as well. So it's going to sit right next to it.
Nice.
Can't wait.
Well, hell yeah. That's Source of Madness. Yeah, I just looked it up. You dropped this trailer the other day, I think, in our Discord. Pretty cool.
It looks really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, mega spooky. I might put it up on screen here real quick. Let me full screen this for you guys.
It kind of reminds me of like Salt and Sanctuary, but like more colorful somehow.
Oh,
somehow, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I would say
similar.
I would say it's more colorful. At least in my my memories eye. We must open the third gate. So it's got all this spooky aesthetic to it. So this trailer says it was from a year ago. Did the game just come out, or?
It was in early access for a long time. I think it officially released from early access like 6 to 8 months ago, maybe. And I've had it on my wish list for a long time, like early in its early access. So yeah, it was mostly a pretty recent actual release. But yeah, it looks super cool, and I don't normally get into roguelikes, but this one looks like it's my jam.
Heck yeah. Source of Madness.
It's definitely very like grotesque.
Yeah.
It gives me like Carrion vibes.
But
sure.
Something I like about this compared to some stuff that's similar to it. So you mentioned Carrion, but I would actually say that this is almost more of a cosmic, like it's it does have this really. I mean, there's like a worm. There's like a spooky worm with a giant mouth.
Almost Eldritch horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that there's not as much blood as I would expect from a game like this. Of course, this is just a trailer and it's just a little bit, so I could be completely wrong. But it has in this trailer or another one that we looked at, it uses that technique that some like photo. It's almost like an AI video where it's like you'll look at something and it's like a mosaic where if you look closely enough, it's not actually a picture of a frog, but the way that the picture works, it looks like it could be a frog. But it's this method of like constantly changing these images that make up the mosaic to give you an always moving picture of something. And I find it really spooky because it's like the kind of thing that I would see like in a dream, like an actual dream, or like I used to have sleep paralysis. And when I woke up, sometimes my mind would be projecting visuals that weren't really there. Like I would, this is really spooky, but I would wake up sometimes and think I was seeing spiders because I could see something, but there wasn't anything there. So
we learned something about Tegan tonight.
Dude, I know. It's sleep paralysis is very, very spooky. So
it sucks.
that reminds me of that because it's all about your perception and stuff, and that's not something that I think I've seen a game do before. I've seen plenty of videos like that online, but never an interactive experience. So that sounds cool. Anyway, that's a blissing up. Let's talk about my terrifying nightmares. No, thanks for letting me put that trailer on there. But yeah, it seems cool. Source of Madness is that one. So hell yeah. And then Sav, how about you?
Hey, so Baz and I recently secured an apartment.
Oh.
We have been looking for somewhere to move to for like the last ever because the internet here sucks. So also like a plethora of other problems, but we finally found somewhere. It's a little smaller than I would like it to be, but I am happy because it has Google Fiber, and I'll still have my own little office room, even though it'll be smaller. And there's just a whole bunch of other amenities and stuff that I really like about it. It's newly remodeled, so all the appliances are brand new, and all the cabinetry is like not shoddy, and it's this really nice onyx black. It's got like gray granite, like marble top, whatever countertops. It's really nice. Kitchen's small, but I'm gonna enjoy spending some time in there. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Super excited.
Upgrade? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I'd say it's a lateral movement. It's better internet.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, side grade. Let's go.
Oh my god.
So excited for you.
The biggest thing is that we were looking for somewhere to move soon because we didn't want to do like the month to month forever. And they were just like, "Hey, how about the end of the month?" And I was like, "Fine, do it."
Yeah.
Now
make it a double. Yeah, that's nice. When stuff works out like that. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited for you. I know you've struggled from some internet issues in the past. Well documented. So have I. But fortunately, I think I just got lucky and some of our problems fixed because I think it had something to do with the. Well, I'm getting TLDR here, but I think it's fixed now. And Sav, I gotta say, it was pretty funny. One time you were in chat and your Google Fiber just did what it does. But everybody was still popping off in chat. We were all just chilling, just like, yo, and what's everybody up to? And I remember, I was probably in that chat for like 15 minutes where there wasn't even a stream happening, but I was loving hanging out in chat, which is a testament to the good vibes in your community, in your Twitch streams. So, yeah, I just got a kick out of that I sat for 15 minutes in a video chat for no video, so to speak. But I'm really happy for your side grade. It's always nice to have stuff like, your internet and those things that are a little out of your control to be better, so you can focus on the things that are in your control. And speaking of the things in our control, let's talk about the things that we've been spending our times with this week. I might go first to just get it out of the way. I have been playing a little bit more Frostpunk from last week. I've played a whole bunch of games over the past week, but this is still the newest one for me. I only played a little bit more, but what I've realized, so I'm playing the city sim builder, right? Frostpunk takes place in a world that is very, very, very cold, and it's essentially the end of the world. Let's get some footage up here. So this is what the game actually looks like. You're starting your game building a city, but you're spending time looking at these long-term upgrades you get to make decisions. Like you make decisions in your city to say, hey, the protesters are acting up, so we need enforcers. So right now, what you see on screen is me selecting one of my faith paths in my essentially book of laws. That over time, like there's a timer, and every once in a while, you get to pass some sort of new law in mostly any order you choose. So we've got faith keepers to stop protesters from making my people upset, which is what you're doing. You're juggling a discontent and a hope bar most of the game. You're trying to make people happy. Sometimes they'll ask you to do or to not do certain things. Like people are like, hey, it's really cold. Like, it was super, super cold. This says negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit on my screen right now, but it got down to negative 80, and I know that it gets colder than that. But it was crazy. People frostbiting out there, you know? So you got to keep them happy. And they were like, hey, you've been making us work extended hours for a while. We would love it if you didn't. So please don't do that. And of course, you want people to work, you know, extended hours because if they're not working as much, there's a good chance you're going to run out of coal. The generator keeping the whole city warm will die, and your people will die. But they don't see it that way because they have just been working really hard and they're miserable in this Frostpunk world. So it's a lot of juggling what people want versus what you know that they need, and trying to play, Boy Scout playthrough like I have been, may be possible, but only when I'm more experienced. Because at the beginning of my current tutorial campaign, a lot of people died, just a ton of people, because I did not yet understand how to properly keep my buildings warm. Didn't understand that, and then I chose a perk. When people start getting sick, you can sign a law that says you can either do overcrowding in your hospitals, so allow more people into the hospitals, but it's, they'll get treated, but it's generally going to be worse treatment for everybody. Or you can go to radical treatment, where people who have frostbite, for example, you would cut off their arms. And so, yeah, they don't die from frostbite, but they are unhappy. They are alive, but unhappy, and they cannot work. So truly, it's another mouth for you to feed. So that's a difficult decision to have to make. You can, if you're running low on food, you can make soup, which is less tasty, but still, it stretches your rations a little bit. Or I could have chosen to put sawdust in the food, which fills people up more, but it'll make them sick. It's a desperate world out there.
Wow.
Yeah, sawdust doesn't taste very good.
This game needs, like, you need to watch Snowpiercer right before playing every time, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good suggestion. A world where the outside, non-heated by an engine world is just brutal. So what you saw on the footage so far was me poking around my city. You saw, actually, I can even go back to it. You can see the thermal view. This is what my city looks like just on a heat map. Right now, this cluster of buildings you're looking at is not warm because nobody's working right now. It's the middle of the night, so I don't have to power the heater. But as soon as the workday starts, I want to power all that stuff back on. I've got timers that'll do that for me. But you really got to manage your upkeep in here in an interesting way. I said last time I like that this game will lull me to sleep. I truly do enjoy that because it's a nice way to play a game for a short session and not just be completely enthralled by it as I fall asleep, which then means I'll have trouble falling asleep, or I'll have crazy dreams. Maybe not the nightmares we talked about before, but it's a fun game. So anyway, skipping ahead, you can send scouts on to go check out the rest of the world. You discover that it's a bleak world out there. There's stuff to salvage, but as of yet, I have not found any living people with an asterisk. You just go out there and you explore new areas. Once I get more people, which I don't know when or if that will happen, because I told you I lost a lot of people earlier in my game. Maybe I'll find more people. I sure do wish I had more workers, I tell you that. I have actually been thinking I might just restart my current campaign now that I know a foundation of what to do. I could play through the rest of this tutorial campaign as is, and I'd still learn a lot, but it would go faster, and I'd appreciate it more if most of my people weren't dead. So we'll probably just restart the game the next time I play, probably this weekend, and go from there. Because, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff to consider with heat and feeding people, healing them when they're sick, gathering enough coal or wood or steel from the environment. There's just all this stuff going on, but it's a nice slow burn. I got it I was gonna say I got it for cheap, but actually I got it gifted to me. But I know that Frostpunk Super went on sale during the Steam Winter Sale. So if a game like this, a nice, I'd say slow burn, but it's more like a slow chill of a game. If this looks good to you, then go wishlist it on Steam. I think it gets under 15 bucks somewhere in there. Might have even been under 10, but don't quote me on that. Frostpunk. It's a fun game. Go check it out. And yeah, try not to let your...
look like frostbite depression. Super fun.
Yeah.
Put you right to sleep.
That's right. They say it's like falling asleep. So, I'm just trying to get in that mode. Actually, it really is perfect for that. When it gets extra cold in the world, you get the rim around the edge of the screen that you'd get like if you're looking through a camera lens that was frozen or something. It's very nice. So yeah, that's fun. Playing Noida as well. Playing a tiny bit of Overwatch. Don't Starve. Made a new beginner-friendly map in Don't Starve. I'm trying to get that off the ground so we can teach some people, but that's neither here nor there. I will tell you, today I saw Deadpool reaching out to see if people wanted to play Project Zomboid again. So this is me signal boosting that. If anybody in our community wants to play Project Zomboid, while Deadpool, Hot Rod, and Odysseus are especially knowledgeable about that game, they're also really good at teaching you, how to pick stuff up. So if you've never played that before, maybe it's sitting in your library from a past sale, go play that. I see Deadpool in chat. He's very excited.
Zomboid!
That's right. So that's it for me for what I've been playing. Who's next? All right, and that's a show. Sorry, the wait time there was only 3 seconds, and
I'm trying to fix my brightness on my display, and it's just not working right.
Your background's way too bright, is what it is.
Yeah. You should ask that ghost.
Yeah. Oh, I think I can see something back there. It's peeking in the window, I think.
Wouldn't it have been perfect if his camera cut out right then, like it always does? That would have been so perfect.
The next time it goes off, we've got to dramatically ask him if he's okay.
Yes.
All right, we'll be on lookout.
But I can go next.
Oh, okay, I kind of got your stuff lined up here.
Sweet. So, I think everyone knows what I've been playing a lot of. So rather than talk even more about it and, give visuals since I'm, wearing the shirt, I think I'll just let the video do all the talking.
Let's do that. Let's transition here. Bear with me.
That ghost has some popcorn. Come on, ghost. Get with it.
Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait. There we go. All right, let's... Oh my gosh.
I'm not just a hideous face, Death enhancing. Darkness, embrace me. Now it's dark. I just keep getting scarier. I'm already dead. What chance do you have? I rest. Then I come again. Go the way of all flesh. Never underestimate a dead girl! You will rot! I will rise from the dead. This ghost isn't finished. I will shroud you in darkness. Watch out, there's a ghost about.
Oh, that's good stuff. Heck yeah. So, Sav, give us some more context about that.
So, What that video means is I am now and forever, well, I don't know about that, as long as I'm good, an ambassador for DKO and a member of their official stream team.
Bam, 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 bam.
Woo! I'm so excited, y'all. I just had my first stream on their official DKO channel yesterday.
Oh,
And
that's
it
awesome.
went really, really well. I went in there and I cosplayed as my favorite character, the pictures of which you can see on Twitter. And yeah, it was just a really good time. People were asking questions about the game. I was able to talk about it and stuff and like educate the masses and just, really show off the potential of the game. And I'm super duper excited about what the future for it has in store.
Well, I'm excited for that future, and I'm excited for your future, It's like we're blissing it up all over again.
Yay!
That is super exciting. So you're officially, like, getting paid to play video games, like, for real.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's an hourly wage. I had to fill out a tax form.
Official. Oh, I love that, though. Do you want me to show some of the other, I can run some of the footage if you want to keep talking about, any of them.
Yeah, because there's some new stuff that's actually coming that I'm excited to share.
Excellent. I'll get that up right now.
So, as people may or may not know, DKO is like published by Rise Games, who are responsible for Paladins, Tribes of Sand, Realm Royale, and Smite, their other biggest game, which is like, the MOBA, the third-person MOBA with all the gods and stuff. And all of the characters in DKO so far have been pulled from that game because it's a Pantheon, platform fighter, Smash Bros. Thing. So, and Rogue Company, of course. How did I forget that?
Wow.
Wow, I'm already fired.
Betrayal. Yeah.
But they are right now in the midst of the finals of the Smite World Championships, which is happening, I think, in Texas.
The Sminals.
And so all of the like biggins, the big guns are all down there, broadcasting that. It's basically like the Halo Championship that we had here in the KC Metro area, but, for Smite.
Mm-hmm.
And they are making an announcement as to the new god that's coming out tomorrow.
I like that sentence. Oh shit, a new god drops next week.
New god drops! Get your prayers ready. After Vespers.
After Vespers.
I guess it would be during Vespers. But they are going to be announcing, quote unquote, the new god, because I think we all know who it is. It's very much highly speculated to be Wukong, who I've dubbed the Charizard of deities because he's in everything. For no reason. They just came out with some Wukong in Little Big Planet. Little Big Planet?
Wow. This is...
He's even in Pokemon.
You clearly don't have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
I don't.
Neutral.
I'm
Totally neutral.
about as passionate about Wukong as I am about Charizard. And Daisy. Like, they're all in the same hierarchy of passionate hatred. But, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So what game is going to mix all of those things? So what? Charizard, Daisy, I guess Smash Bros. Are the two of those, and then Wukong. It could happen in multiverses.
Charizard and Wukong are both in Pokemon because Infernape is based on Wukong.
Oh, checks out.
So we just need Infernape to come to Smash Bros. And then there we are.
Oh my goodness, we're setting up the Pokemon rivalry. It's going to be years in the making. You know what? Can we just have a night where you on stream battle other people who represent all those things that you hate, but they can only use, like, you have a Charizard, you fight like a gym leader, right? Where their Charizard is their final 6 Pokemon, and everything else is stuff that's related to it. Maybe for some reason they've got a Charmander and a Charmeleon, because who would do that normally? But come on,
got the whole family.
Yeah, got the whole family.
I like Charmander. Charmander's fine, like as a Pokemon, I like it as it being present or whatever. I don't feel immediate hatred for Charmander. But the second I see Charizard, I'm just like,
you're too old. You must be this young to ride the ride.
They literally shoehorned Charizard into Scarlet and Violet. There's no reason for it to be there. None. But back to DKO. So they're going to be announcing, quote unquote, the new god at the Smite's World's Finals tomorrow. And then I don't know when that patch is going to actually be coming out, but then 6 weeks later from that, we're going to be getting a new Norse god alongside Norse realms and all that whatnot. And they're going to be releasing Founders Pack Season 1. Or not Founders Pack Season. Season 1, period. Founders Season will end. Official Season 1 will begin. And right now, even though you can only earn the drop for free, like to play the game until the 16th. Or no, I think they extended it. It's the 31st now. It used to be the 16th. Now it's the 31st. And it is available free to keep on Epic Games currently. So lots of good ways to get into the game for free. You don't have to do the Founders Pack. There's still, drip-drop-a-lating all the freedom in there. So make sure to get in while it lasts.
Drip-drop-a-lating all the freedom. Take that to the bank. That's
for free.
For free. Well, sweet. Well, that's all very exciting. So, Sav, where can everybody find you on the internet for all of that stuff?
Yeah, so twitch.tv/SovereignSid, SYD, not SID. Or, very occasionally now, and I will tweet about this, on the DKO game Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/DKO game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. We'll look forward to a lot of that and a lot of you. That's really exciting. On both
Yay,
channels.
attention!
We all love it here. Okay, then, let's see. Without further ado, Vilos, let's talk about what you've been playing.
A little bit of Midnight Ghost Hunters there?
IRL, just a little bit. So, yeah, I have put Rise Eterna on my list for my backlog. And I went ahead and started it because Rise Eterna is one of the shortest JRPGs that I could play. And so, as mentioned earlier, briefly, I put out my list, my ambitious list of JRPGs that I will be completing this year from my backlog. That's one major JRPG per month, every month. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Of hours.
You can do it. And you got my support. You just let me know what you need from me.
Endless hydration and definitely snacks is going to be necessary.
You heard it, chat.
Hydration is right, because, you are thirsty.
I mean, I absolutely am thirsty. As you can see on the video here, Rise Eterna is a Fire Emblem clone. It's very pretty as far as the action bits go, and it's got some pretty good music as well. And all the still character art is really fantastic. But so far in my about an hour into this 10-hour thing, it's just so very basic that I'm not at all impressed yet. And it didn't get great reviews when it released, but it is a perfect thing to play on the Switch, just because it is short. As you can see on the map there, the map is actually like kind of way too arcadey for me.
Oh, is that right?
They brought the Fire Emblem feel to almost
Super Mario World.
Yeah, the game feels very arcadey, but in a good way. Like I am now playing it on handheld with the new split pad compact, and it feels just right. Like it's just very convenient. So I look forward to getting through it and seeing all these characters, because so far it's just this main female character and this main dude character, and they're both kind of annoying.
No.
Yeah, so it's not a great start to the game because it starts off with basically 30 minutes of talking, and it's just Lua here. It's just like, hey, this girl's really badass for no reason, and she's an asshole to your character because your character's an outlaw, and she killed all of your teammates.
Oh,
and like none of it makes sense character-wise. It's just like, okay, can everybody just not be shitty to each other for like a whole second and a story commence? No, okay. Like the conflict doesn't make any sense yet, which can sometimes be how a JRPG works, but in this case, it's just like, you know what, you know what kind of game you're playing. It doesn't really set it up very well though. So yeah, I'm gonna get through this one hopefully this week.
I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah, because next Friday is Fire Emblem Engage. That's the game I really need to play. So, yeah, I'm just taking it easy right now because I do have this massive gauntlet of things to look forward to.
Well, man, think how good Fire Emblem's gonna taste after playing this one. You know?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
absolutely
this is
will
the
be the case.
sawdust, and then Fire Emblem's gonna be that Christmas cake that you got.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. Because I'm gonna go ahead and find my blog link here and put it in chat. But um, one of the big things that I really wanted to do was make sure that I spaced things apart well. That I didn't put 3 months in a row of Fire Emblem. I didn't do that. And I didn't put all the 100-hour games right next to each other. So it was
Good
very
thinking.
important to me, especially after completing 45 games in 2022. I know like my limits, I think. Because I had a solid month and a half of no gaming. I think looking back at 2022.
Yeah, those are rookie
Like
numbers. You could do better than that.
like it would be like 4 or 5 days at a time that I would just not play anything though.
Mhm.
And then later I'd be like, oh man, I could have completed like 3 games. But no, it was necessary to not play for a little bit. And last year I actually did have massive hand cramps that actually stopped me from playing some stuff too.
Oh,
So
really?
there were a couple weeks that don't stop. There were a few weeks though that like when I would put something on the what you've been playing list, and it was like, yeah, I played that for 30 minutes because that's all I could do. There were a couple of rough weeks like that, but yeah, hopefully since JRPGs are mostly a couple buttons, it shouldn't be too bad.
Well, heck yeah. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck on there, because man, that list is really extensive. But I hope that we can chat a little more more about those as I play Triangle Strategy, which I'm playing because you liked it so much and recommended it to me. You've never given me a recommendation that didn't land, so picked it up during the Steam sale, so I'm excited to jump into that so I can have the language with which to talk to you about all of these hundreds of hours of games
I
that you'll be
guarantee
playing.
that's about a billion times better than Rise Eterna. So yes.
Oh, rip.
So
And
during this endeavor of yours, like doing
yeah.
all the JRPGs and stuff, is this when we're finally gonna get the say Xenoblade Chronicles 3 300 times
Mm-hmm.
stream thingy?
Yeah, it's gonna need to happen because Russ needs to hear it still. That was our subathon thing.
Yep.
That technically didn't count, but it kind of counted. Um, yeah, and as I put on the list actually, uh, December 31st is when the the fake date from Nintendo was for the actual story DLC for Xenoblade 3.
The fake date, you say?
The fake date because as was
Oh, because
seen
that
in
hasn't been
the
like announced yet,
yeah,
right?
as was seen in the second game, the DLC there was an entirely a fucking 25-hour game that came out just a few months after Xenoblade 2. So
Mhm.
it could be like October, November that we actually see this final DLC for Xenoblade 3. And as I put in the blog, I will literally drop everything in my life in order to play that. So
Oh, I love that. So Rise Rise Eterna, right now, before next, what, Thursday? What day do games come out again? Thursdays?
Friday is Fire Emblem.
Friday is Fire Emblem
Friday is
Engage.
Nintendo.
That's right.
Tuesdays is everything else.
Because why be the same as everybody else? Um, well, cool. Well, good luck to you in your next 9 hours of Rise Eterna. Gosh, if I don't have the words in front of me, I don't know why I can't remember the name of this game. Um, do you think your your list is pretty well thought out, not only in how each one will be back to each other, but you have a very good idea of what you do and don't like in games, I think. Do you think any of these games on your list, you'll get to some point in them and say, nope, don't like it enough, too many hours to spend on something I don't like? I mean, Rise Eterna is only 10 hours, so even if you did that, it's still only 10, which is, it's all relative. But I mean, if there's an 80-hour game and you're 15 hours into it and you're like, yo, same thing. What if you said this didn't interview well, or interview? This did not review well. It lied on its resume. And I, Carlos, am not enjoying this. Do I keep playing it? Because I said I would, because it's my goal. Or do I just say, nope, I'll replace it with something different? You know, what do you think that looks
You're
like for you?
absolutely that's a perfect question, and I did put it in the blog actually.
Oh, I thought I read
For
the whole
the most
thing.
part.
Well,
It's the very bottom of it, so whatever.
oh,
The
I
fine
put
print.
I put some
You should have read
options
the
that I
wording in the fine.
I put some options that may or may not get added uh, may or may not get added necessarily. Subtracted, I have thought about, and I just straight up said, maybe that'll happen. But there are a couple that are candidates already. I don't want to say it, but Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the biggest candidate there.
for
But hair.
subtraction.
Yes. No, the main characters, like that's a thing. Like the general concept and everything is great, but Shin Megami Tensei games they just don't quite hit me usually. So I played a little bit of the third one, the remake, and then Apocalypse, part of the fourth one, and I played 20 something hours of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and that was the one that was like I like this. I like so many things about it, but it gets to a point where it's purposefully grindy, and I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
When there's no good reason for you to have to grind that much, and that's kind of what Shin Megami is known for. So, like, that's the biggest one because it's a 50 to 70 hours pretty easily.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's.
yeah,
I mean, you got
and
your
then
finger on the pulse, but man, that's tough. That sounds.
yeah.
Isn't Tokyo Mirage Sessions the Fire Emblem crossover?
Yes. See, that's the point. Like there were so many things in that game that I should have liked, and I did like a lot of them, but I played 25 hours somewhere in there, and I was still like, man, I
Which one is that?
can't get through the rest of it. It's this whole it was from the Wii
Well,
U. It
what's it
was a
called?
Wii game.
Because I might pull it up.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE.
Sharp as in the Octothorpe hash pound
Yes.
sign.
Yes.
Sharp. F.
Sorry. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore.
Oh, you're right. I.
You can't forget Encore, Hyper Alpha Mega Arcade Anniversary Gold Plus Edition
Yeah.
EX and Knuckles, featuring Dante from Devil May Cry
Right.
and New Funky Mode.
Oh my.
And 3 and Knuckles and Watch. Junior.
Let's get this one up. It's What is this? This is that one you just said.
Okay, yeah.
Final
And
mix.
so you're seeing the whole thing is that you are this basically an idol agency that is taking care of these supernatural forces with the help of classic Fire Emblem characters uh, like Crom, just in a different version of him. It's a very little like avatar-y experience here. Like gorgeous characters, as you can see. It's got all the lovely weeb shit that you come to expect from a JRPG. But yeah, like the first 20 hours of the game were stupid easy, and so it was one of those situations where it's like, hey, here's your quest, go do it. Okay, cool. And then there comes this one particular quest. It's like, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you. Now you need to grind for about 10 more hours.
Oh no.
All of a sudden, just out of nowhere, and it's like, dude, I don't want to do that. um, and yeah, like Odysseus said, Joker. Yeah, the whole like everything is in every vibe from JRPGs is in this game, and I still was like, no, I can't get all the way through.
Okay, but is there Marth?
No.
What? But he's
Because
like the Charizard of Fire Emblem.
because it's Crom.
Marth, I
There's-
read is the emblem. I didn't realize emblem was like a descriptor for people in there or whatever. I don't know anything about it. He is the emblem of beginnings, and Carlos is way past the beginning. He doesn't have time for Marth.
Although
Yeah.
Marth does appear in Fire Emblem Engage.
Yes.
Oh, do I take it back
So.
then? Everything I said meaningless.
Yeah, and so Nerdster brings up, does the idol agency part lend to the overall gameplay, or is it more like a detached theme to market the Fire Emblem parts? It's overall entrenched in everything. It's the whole story, the whole reason
Yes.
why you're in why you're in that part of the city. Like it, yes, it's everything. The idol stuff is the main point for having the cutscenes in the game. But yeah, it's really cool.
Tell us
but
about the
then
merchandising. You're like, I got a
ruins.
sick figurine from it.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine if like all of the divas from like quote unquote America went off to like fight evil, like Lady Gaga
No,
and Ariana
like
Grande and
no,
Madonna
that's
and
the
like
fun part. That's the really fun part because
Britney
there's
Spears.
so many cool little stories in it that it
Spice
does
Girls.
bring up. Like the last one I actually stopped on was the idol agency's boss is super hot. That's like the whole point of this part. And you find out that she had this deep dark secret. Oh my god, what was it? Oh, she was a fucking idol.
What?
Like
Oh
okay, right?
no.
Yeah. So there's this reveal, and you find this photographer that kind of ruined her life, ruined her idol life. That
Not
is,
cool.
and you find out that
She's just like,
he's
he took
super fucking
pictures of my
evil.
feet.
Oh no.
Listen, it's way too close to that. But
Oh,
no, he's a shitty photographer. That's the whole thing, and
oh,
he's evil now.
okay.
Was probably kind of evil back then, but yeah, it's a cool story. But yeah, those kind of things when a JRPG will do that at times, and sometimes you don't know when it's coming. But Shin Megami Tensei is one that you know is coming. So if I make it like 25, 30 hours through that one, that's one I might give up. But man,
If
otherwise,
you
yeah, go
if you
ahead.
ever have to like give up on one of these games, replace it with Pokemon Conquest.
I do have it. I don't have the original version. I have it on one of those, the fucking emulator cartridge
What?
that
Yeah, I
gets
didn't hear
cheap.
that.
Yeah.
You have the original version. That's all I heard.
I completely intend to play that, and that actually I totally forgot to think about that one for the list. So that is a very good replacement for sure.
Nice. Well,
Got
cool.
Charizard's in it.
Uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see if we can sneak something in there. If only we could, like, I don't know, if it was like a cartridge that we could sneak out and be like, hey, Carlos doesn't know what he's about to load up today, and then it's some Charizard game. Or maybe we do that to Sav. Maybe, yeah, I think that's the move.
Exclusively
Are
a
we gonna get like?
Charizard
Am I gonna
Rayquaza
get
game.
Zard rolled now? Is that? It's like the whole thing.
Oh, Zard rolled on stream, man. Okay, well, Carlos, you posted this. You wrote this as a blog, which everyone should go check out on our website. You linked it in chat here for anybody who wants to read that while we're here on stream. But this is huge in all sorts of ways, and I'm excited to see you go through all this. January, this says Rise Eterna, which of course you just talked about, and Deofield Chronicles. My only ask, because we've talked about Deofield a little bit in the past, you've got to write their names down. We got to save those bad boys because that
Oh my god.
That's true.
had
Yeah.
some of the best JRPG names I've ever seen. Just some real
What was that one guy like Iscariot something or other? Like
something.
what the?
They're all like the Key and Peele sketch where they're just
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. Aquanemia's like
yeah. Oh my gosh. So
no.
Watermelon Andrea, Fried Chickenisha. We got it. Like
so looking forward to that. That'll be here for January, and yeah, you technically have February is Fire Emblem Engage, so I hope you got, your juggling hands ready, my friend, because once the JRPGs start coming, and the
they
JRPGs
don't stop
never
coming
stop
and they
coming.
don't stop coming.
They really don't. Although I was going to see if I could get Sav into one of them,
Ooh,
the
oh,
April one. Yeah.
ooh.
Because it's a Switch one called Trinity Trigger and
Oh
three
yeah.
player
Remember it was
local
like
co-op.
a local. So you want me to like come to your house?
I mean, maybe that'd
Oh,
be
okay.
fine.
Well, that was a strong, confident invite to play video games together.
I'm just saying I might need one or two local co-op player co-op.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, cool.
that's
And then I can finally pick up that peach wildwood from you. You know.
oh, listen, that mead is definitely required for JRPG Gauntlet
Yes.
time.
I'm actually really excited
100%.
now. I can't wait for April.
That's wonderful.
We get to meet your ghosts and everything.
Wow. Making new friends. That's what it's all about. That's what couch co-op gaming is all about. Well, I'm excited for the three of you to check that out together. And yeah, well, so that's what we've been playing, and what we will soon be playing. I'm excited for all that stuff. Let's talk about a wonderful suggestion Vilos had for today's category. What am I saying? Our party topic. So we are going to discuss replayability in games. Replayability in games means a lot of things to a lot of different people. Who was it that I looked at? We just had Steam's games wrapped for 2022 for the first time. I think it's brand new, and a few people have been like mine, where it gives you, like, you're one of 46% of people who spent this much time with this type of game and all this. And the retro category was my lowest. It was like 8 or 9% of the time I spent playing was a retro game. Where it said that most people play more, significantly more than players like me. So an interesting thing about that is a lot of the games that I like to play look like they're retro games. They're not. They're new. They're new-ish, at least. But they have a retro aesthetic. And so in the context of our discussion here, I was thinking about how all that, what is it about not just nostalgia that makes you want to replay something, but what is it to any of us specifically, any of you listening at home, the three of us, what really makes you go back to a game that sticks out to you personally, whether or not it sticks out to other people? Maybe you like playing the same game once every year. Some people will watch the same movie at like a tradition around Christmas, right? People watch Christmas movies as just part of like something familiar, something nostalgic. But some people do that with games. Likewise, or in a different way, some people play games that are like they're endless games. Like games I like roguelikes and all that. So I'm constantly replaying the same game, but each time it's a new experience. So it's less about nostalgia and more about unpredictability, but in a familiar setting. So I tell you what, I'll mention mine real quick. I know that I love games that have to do with adaptability. I like that in real life too, but in games that has a lot of different forms. So what do I mean by adaptability? So I've realized that with my love for survival games and roguelikes, clearly my favorite thing to do is not to succeed, because those games are full of failure. But instead of, feeling crushing every time that I lose, inevitably, I take solace. I love that feeling of getting better, of learning, where it's not me playing a game and my character levels up and I put more points in intelligence or dexterity. Instead, it's me that's leveling up. It's me, the player, who is improving my ability to adapt and make decisions on the fly. So I wanted to even mention, specifically with roguelikes and roguelites, why those two things are different and why you shouldn't correct people on the internet, because it's really annoying. Please don't be that person. Please don't ever push up your glasses and say, actually, it's a roguelite. You might be right, but people hate it. Don't do that. But
it's actually a rogue similar.
So those games, there is a difference, and I'm going to tell you what it is because it's fundamental to why I love games like that so much. So a roguelike is a game where there is no progression between different runs of playing a game. That would be a game like Noida. I could even get you some footage up on here for that. In that, you're constantly learning new things. Let's see. Check out this video where, for the first time, I encountered a spell, which you'll see in a minute. When I hit an enemy with it, they get a gravity field around them, which sucks projectiles towards them. So if I just hit them with one of these wand bullets, they will, not only be attracted, like the bullets that I shoot will be attracted to them, but like one of the guys up here picks up dynamite and throws it at me, but it immediately flings back at him and eventually kills him. In an exciting random event, you can see me here. I go to this new area, and I can barely see that there's an enemy over here. Let me actually full screen this for you guys. I've shot this octopus thing that you can barely see with my wand, and I'm shooting it a zillion times. It's doing barely any damage because it's a wimpy wand. But you know what else I have in my pocket? Dynamite! So I throw the dynamite at this thing.
Oh my god!
And the dynamite is magnetized basically to the enemy, and I pull out my other wand, which can light the match, and just super explode that octopus thing, which is great because that thing would have messed me up if I got close to it.
That just visibly was so funny because it
the
was just
box
like,
was huge,
pew, pew, pew,
right?
Dynamite, like,
and it's such a comically huge dynamite.
Yeah.
So individually, I have seen all of these parts before in other playthroughs of my game, but I've never seen this combination before. So all I'm doing is replaying this like early section of this game that I've never really gotten super far past. But every time I do it, it feels like a brand new experience. I'm seeing stuff I've never seen before. I just stepped in an enemy's teleporter blob and teleported somewhere very dangerous, right next to a whole pit of lava. Lots of enemies everywhere. But it's this unpredictability of, like, hey, here are a lot of moving parts and variables. I don't know what they're going to be, but the better I get as a player, the more well-equipped I'll be to handle anything that's thrown at me. And so, like I joked earlier, it's like I am the one leveling up, and I can't get enough of those games because I can always feel like I'm learning more and I'm getting opportunities to try new things in practice. So yeah, really enjoyed that. So a roguelike like Noida has no crossover at all between different runs. There's no hub where you level up your character or increase your probability of better items or anything like that. Every run is a brand new, fresh slate anywhere you played in the world on any client. So that's really cool. So then a roguelite would be something like Hades, where every run you win or lose, you go back to a hub area and you have some sort of currency that you can spend maybe to make yourself stronger or to unlock cool skins or whatever you want. But it has progression between each area. And so if you get frustrated by a game where it never gets any easier, then a game like that's perfect because you still get that randomization. Every run is procedurally generated. But you feel over time, especially if you don't put a lot of consecutive hours into a game, you feel like you really get something out of it. So, roguelikes and roguelites, right? Like has no carryover or progression between runs. A roguelite does have progression between runs. Most people will mix up the names of those two things. You know, just let them have it. It's not that important most of the time, but now you've learned something, so you can talk about it with knowledge yourself. But to that end, I really like battle royales. I haven't played one in a long time, but I remember getting stuck on Apex for a long time, for a good year and a half, Apex Legends. And what I loved about that is that game, battle royales to me, they feel like roguelikes. They drop you in a world where you're not sure what's going to be out there, but the more well-equipped you are to adapt, the better you're going to do. You don't know what loot you're going to find. You don't know which area of the map will be off-limits sooner. You don't know where other enemies will drop. So just like that, it's this whole idea of playing a game on a familiar playing field, but that it's different every time. I used to like playing stuff that was like story-based, like Mass Effect. But these days, I just can't... I'm much less attracted to replaying a game like that, even though there are things like making new decisions in a game. I'll probably go back and play until... What's the Dusk game? Till Dusk Falls. I can see myself playing that again with different...
As Dusk Falls.
As Dusk Falls, thank you. I can imagine myself replaying that sometime down the line to specifically pick a bunch of things that we did not pick in our Twitch playthrough. But so it's a similar thing, because I don't know what those consequences are going to be.
She was innocent.
What's that?
I said Michelle was innocent.
I don't know about that one. I think there's a lot.
I think we verified that shit.
I would say that the husband is very forgiving. That's what I would say. That's a fact. But yeah, I love those kinds of games. I mentioned like Lizzie will often play. Well, she and I both will get into certain games during the winter, like Skyrim and stuff, because there's still game there that we haven't seen. But that's still another case of like not replaying the same narrative game. Instead, it's exploring even further in a world that's familiar to us. So yeah, there's just a lot of different stuff. So all of those could be different than what you guys in chat are thinking in your head right now. Your definition of replayable is. I think that's also different to some extent with the two of you. I mentioned roguelikes, but I think so many multiplayer games can be boiled down to that similar formula. Sav, I know you love your brawlers and stuff, like as illustrated on this podcast. But even like a multiplayer brawl is you being like, okay, I have learned this character really well. I don't know how, who the enemy's going to pick or how they'll play that character, but I can become so good that I can handle anything. That I can adapt on the fly to anything that comes at me, and I'll walk out on top. And I think that's one of the most fun things about watching people play stream games like that. Any competitive multiplayer like that. But enough of me yapping. Let's hear from you two. Since we just talked about Vilos's extreme backlog, let's leave him until after you, Sav. I want to hear what your favorite replayability games or what you've got there.
Yeah, okay.
That you love so much.
So a game that I really just keep coming back to all the time is it's a really nice gem called Divine Knockout. No. I've actually
You never
been
left.
Yeah.
I never really did. Like, I'm still wearing the merchandise, like I'm there. But I've been really jumping back into Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 has been, and what really gets me back into it every time is like a freaking Splatfest comes from around the corner, and it's just like, hey, by the way, this is going to be this really nice, carnival night over the whole weekend. You're going to get a whole bunch of bonus stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I get to jump back and listen to some really cool music and have a really good time in this very chaotic, surprisingly in-depth game. It seems on the surface a very simple concept: paint the ground, eliminate your enemies. But there are so many different weapon archetypes, which themselves have different subsets of weapons and grenades and artillery and things like that. You can really, and also you can, outfit yourself with all of these different perks and stuff. You can really tailor your playstyle to exactly the specification you want to play. And I think that's really cool. In fact, there are, like, for instance, they just came out with a new set of weapons, and one of them is a paintbrush, like I use the ink brush, except it has different sub-weapons and grenades.
Oh.
So if I wanted to, I could still use my favorite weapon, but it'll have a different layout or loadout or whatever. And I think that's really cool that they're always thinking about how people want to change their playstyle, how they want to customize, how they approach a situation, especially with the different ranks and the different modes and things like that. That they're always thinking about that and coming out with new things and balancing the game to adjust to those new things and things like that. So not only is that cool, like all the depth and whatnot, but Splatoon is just a really satisfying game to play. And it's a huge, like a really good time sink. You can jump in, jump out, play as you want. They're only 3-minute long games for regular Turf Wars. The ranked modes can go a little longer depending on what the ranks are, or they can end in 10 seconds. It really just depends on how good your team is. But it's just a fun world to be there. The lore is just amazing. I can't wait to finish the story mode. I've only been doing that on stream, so I haven't been playing it as much. But now that I've picked it back up again, I might jump back in and start doing the story mode again.
Nice. When you jump into a game like this, do you tend to like jump back in and then just binge the heck out of it, or is it in like 1 or 2 or 3 big sessions, or is it something you'll incorporate into a rotation and play a little bit, maybe every couple days for like a few weeks or something?
Well, I'm very much the binge gamer, so I mean, even DKO will evidence to that. But when it comes to games that I'm jumping back into, I'll pretty much do the same thing alongside what else I'm also binging. So it's not so much as a rotation as in I'll play one game, and then after I'm done playing with that game, I'll jump into the other game like after lunch or something. It's not like I take turns. I just keep playing.
Yeah.
It's like when you go from like browsing the internet on your computer, and then you're just like go to the living room and then browse it on your phone.
That's a great analogy. You've got the big game over here, capital B, capital G, and then the little game, capital L, capital G. You gotta, I love categories. I love games like Wilmot's Warehouse, so anytime I can just, compartmentalize. I've even got, in my personal life, I've got a bunch of chat apps, and while that would bug the crap out of some other people, it's nice because I'm like, ooh, every little notification has its own, like, priority level. I can incorporate it whenever I want, and, even on my desktop right now, I Wilmot's Warehouse the heck out of my desktop icons. And all of these little games, usually indies, I've organized in a way where I'm like, okay, these are the multiplayer games I haven't played in a while, but as soon as someone mentions it, I'm going to just dive in full force. There's a whole box of them. Another one will be my roguelikes for the future. Or another one will just be like, even right now with Frostpunk, I need ambience. So I've got a category. I'm just going to open up the game. I'm not even going to play it. But I'll just keep booting it up because every time it'll kind of give me the mood that I'm looking for, and something like that. So yeah, I'm with you on binge gaming for sure, where I'm not very good at making a gaming plan, because what if I'm not in the mood, even if I only play for a little bit, that's tough for me. I just don't stick to things for very long when I'm just like, and that's a wrap for me. Like, I found one too many things I didn't like about this game, and I'll revisit it, at the 1.0 release or whatever. Isn't it a funny idea that you can play a whole bunch of a certain type of game, let's say Raft, and then the 1.0 comes out, and you're like, oh, hooray, the game's finally out, even though I've put tens of hours into this thing. It's like you're replaying an old favorite, but, there it is with a shiny new coat of paint. You're like, brand new? Sounds like.
I thought it would feel that way about, like, Valheim. Right.
Yeah.
Because they just came out with their Mistlands expansion or whatever, and I've been watching a friend of mine play it, but it just feels like more Valheim. So I was just like, I don't know if I can get back into this because, first of all, I'd be starting over, because we don't have our community server anymore, as far as I know. That one that we shared, like the constantly active one.
Yeah, definitely not.
So there's that, and onboarding for games like that, survival games and things like that, is always really tough because you have to rediscover your recipes. You have to build using the most shoddy ingredients, and then using the most the shoddiest tools, and that just is a grind. And then it doesn't start feeling satisfying or rewarding until you get your ecosystem going, which is satisfying for some people, but that's not. Unless I'm playing with someone, it's not like my cup of tea. Which is why I got really into Valheim the first time and made that like 3-story mansion with like the 2 wings and everything, because we all had that village.
Yep. Well, that's what I'm trying to do with this Don't Starve server I've got going, because I'm like, I like doing that build up from nothing into an ecosystem, like getting your whole thing together. Or in Raft, I'm playing with a couple friends. We finally got to the point where we can grow enough food just on the raft that just over time we will be fed. We're no longer fighting for our lives all the time. So I'm hoping that, like, exactly to your point, I can make that world, I can, like, get it to where I need, and then put a permanent save that we can access later to be like, hey, you're new at this game. Let's go over here. All the really difficult, like, first several hours of this game are out of the way. Now you can just relax a little bit and fool around. Because, yeah, I think some survival games, it's hard to, as far as like binging or slow burning stuff, you have to sink all this time in up front, and that's tough. If every time you want to play this game you have to sink a bunch of time. Imagine if Carlos had to play the exact same 10-hour tutorial on all of those games that he was playing. The tutorial sections, whatever they are, even if they are 10 hours, some games do that. I hope they're all interesting, because then to be like, replayable, like either familiar titles or new titles, it's a difficult situation to try to plan your gaming, or even to feel nostalgia about something where you're like, oh boy, I haven't played this in a year, I don't remember any of the details, like I don't remember the controls or any of that stuff. which is actually it's me right now. I just booted up Horizon Zero Dawn for no real good reason. I'm at the very very beginning last night, and I looked at the controls and I was like, whoa, these are not typical controls for the games I play. Like aiming down the bow and hitting R1 is your reload. Some games do that, but nothing I've been playing lately. So I'm like, well, do I go and play this game after I learn the controls, or do I just like, I think I'm just gonna have to set it down until I've got a chance to really sink my teeth into it later. But let's see, enough zigzagging here. Carlos, do you? What are you? Are you the binge replayer, or are you the pepper it throughout? I mean, I already know you're a binge player. The three of us are all big binge players. But specifically with replaying, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, as far as replaying goes, I do usually go after something that that just physically feels good, and something that I can completely turn my brain off to. Um, I feel like that's normally the case. I mean, the example that I put on the doc tonight was a little bit different, but whenever a game just physically feels good, I can always go back to it. I feel like a lot of recent things are going to be like that for me. Um, like Wargroove is always one, because I can basically remember how to do everything in Wargroove 24/7, like my entire life. I played that game so hard on release, and
Name your kids after those characters. Name them
listen,
War and Groove.
at least one of the at least one of the characters
Yeah.
might actually. But no, like some of the more recent games, like Metal Hellsinger, something like that, just feels so good. Neon White feels so good. They have that run based sort of system in the first place
Mm-hmm.
that makes it feel arcadey when it's technically not an arcadey game. Um, it's not asking you for a whole lot. It's not asking you to play it for 25 hours.
Yeah.
It's barely asking you to play it for the 15 seconds in Neon White's case,
Yeah.
Um,
I got this. I got your video up here of Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator.
got on the first try. Look at that.
Hell yeah!
You're learning.
New
Leveling
year, new
up.
me.
And yeah, for this, it's so pleasing because it's very visceral. Like everything about this game is visceral. Um, like your eyes are basically bleeding after playing it so long, but like you needed that. Like when you get into it, you get into it, and it just grabs a hold. Because I'm not usually addicted to games.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I play so many of them. But yeah, I don't attach myself to one particular game all that often. And Space Warlord is one of those that all you really need is like a button on. I think it was like E or Q or something, and your mouse, and that's it. Like the simplest setup. Um, and it's just asking you to exercise your eyes, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's just so many things that you can find pleasing in video games, and I think really controlling it is a big part of that for me personally. Because I'm never going to be addicted to playing a game that's mouse and keyboard specifically.
Sure.
Like that's why I like my controllers so much. I like that tactile part of it. So yeah, that's really it at the end of the day. The only other time that I really replay a game is if I need to replay a story like I would with Xenoblade,
Mm-hmm.
because you really don't forget a story like that, but just reliving it. I mean, I've watched
Well, how
other
much do
streamers
you
play it so much.
how much do you remember when you go back? Like sometimes when I'm listening to podcasts, I'll think that I have a pretty good idea of what a story was, but when it's like a longer one, I'm like, "Oh, there was a ton of meat and potatoes in here that I completely forgot about." Do you feel like that when you go and play those games that are so long? Are you like are you regularly finding things that you either forgot about completely or misremembered, or maybe you see something new that you didn't know was there? How does that go for you?
Xenoblade 2 is the only one that I've had that experience with lately, and I think it's just because it's one of those games that even though I love it and I have replayed a bunch of it, I haven't completely restarted it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of some sort of emotional attachment issue I have there, I think. But there have been moments where I see somebody play it on a stream, and I'm like, wait, did I not do that, or has it just been 5 years since I did that?
Right, right.
You know, with Xenoblade 3 though, I've already played so much of it and streamed so much of it that I just like I don't know that I can forget any of it.
Yeah.
There's always like when a game has like 200 quests potentially that you can do, which I still didn't complete completely. Like there's like 3 quests left in Xenoblade 2 that I didn't do.
Yeah.
Um, like it's all about the relationships in that game for me, and I don't forget the relationships. That's like the key thing. I might miss some of those in between story moments. It's like, oh, that was funny, but
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the
Protagonist
day,
never
it's
forgets.
all
That's what
still
they say.
here. You know? It's all still there.
Well, heck yeah.
I
Well,
feel like it's kind of like watching like one of your comfort movies. You never really forget, and sometimes it's to the point where you can like quote the whole thing as it's happening, but you probably couldn't quote it like by heart off, like while it's not happening. Like if I asked you to quote your
Yeah,
favorite movie like from beginning to end right now, you couldn't do that. But while you're watching it, it's kind of like that. Well, you just the other characters on the screen don't exist anymore. It's just you, and you are the movie.
exactly. I
yeah.
think you got it right.
Well, sweet. Well, yeah, we'll have a whole year of both new and familiar experiences ahead for us. We all very much know what we like. We're we're old enough. We've been around the block, tried out enough game genres to know some stuff just isn't for us, but other things super are. Uh, you're saying Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a game that had a strong impact on you, and you just played 3. Um, Sometimes those games and Fire Emblem have that wonderful like, oh cool, I get to see familiar characters in a new setting kind of thing, right? And I'm sure that's just got to feel cool every time you see somebody who you already know, whether or not the
Oh my
game gives
god,
you
yes.
context to be like, oh, I remember them from this thing over here, and that extra context that I have from multiple games in the series. I mean, I guess anybody who's ever really played Kingdom Hearts could maybe appreciate that, but for the rest of the world, um, games like that would be nice where it's like, yeah, maybe you don't necessarily have to have the entire backlog finished, but you just stick with this IP and you can get the warm fuzzies.
Come on, chat. Tell me that you didn't fucking cry when Sora was revealed in Smash. Come on.
I didn't.
Oh my god.
Oh, rip.
That's just the intense amount of salt that you have. So
For what? But no, I don't like dislike Sora. It's just like yeah, he's there. I mean, I figured he was coming. He was like the most requested character for like what 6 years. So like they would have added him eventually. So I wasn't like surprised. I did like the
Okay.
cinematic though.
So who of the roster did make you cry? Because that's part of that point. Like they are literally marketing these games now to do that shit.
Gosh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Lol.
Or
Because I
even
mean,
even just the fake
like
out
once we
Mario
got Peach,
death.
I was
Like
just like, that's it. Like that was all the way back in Melee. I saw Peach and I was like, I'm done. That's it. That's all I care about.
That's it. Well, that, my friends, was a whole discussion all over the place about game replayability. Like, we really have a lot of reasons to like to replay games. I think that's evidenced in the market by remakes and remasters. We're about to see, before the recording of the next podcast, we're about to see The Last of Us will be up on HBO, which is similar to what we're discussing. It is a new way to experience something familiar. So while it'll be new and exciting for everybody, it'll be people and places and things that we know a whole lot about from The Last of Us 1 and 2. So yeah, hit us up on Twitter, on our Facebook group, in our Discord. Tell us what your criteria is for replaying a game. Do you replay stuff all the time? Do you rarely revisit games? What kind of games are they? All of that stuff. Tell us anything and everything. No rules. We'd love to hear it. But we talked about a bunch of stuff. Let's do a quick recap of what we talked about tonight. The games that we played were, I played Frostpunk, Sovereign played DKO, that's Divine Knockout, Vilos played Rise Eterna, and the big discussion of game replayability covered a whole bunch of stuff from JRPGs to Splatoon to roguelikes and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we'll be back next Thursday with at least the three of us. We'll find out. But as for the end of this show, we've got Pentiment coming up, session 4 after this. So if you're listening in the future from anything that isn't Twitch, go make sure to catch the rest of those episodes 1 and 2 on YouTube and 3 here on Twitch so far. But everything will be on YouTube by the end of it. This is community voiced Pentiment. We're going to play a trailer right here as I talk over it. This is Pentiment we're playing on Game Pass. It is a 14 to 20 hour game, depending on who you are. It'll be on the slow end for us because we're reading and voicing everything that we find. I won't spoil until after the podcast segment is over where we are at, where we left off on a fun cliffhanger. Things are about to get pretty wild, I think. But Pentiment is a whole lot of fun. Go make sure to visit our website at partyinvite.games to access Vilos' blog, which we talked about extensively tonight. I'll be eyeballing that to root him on, and you should too. I'm excited for you, Vilos. Go find Sovereign Sid on their channel at twitch.tv/Sovereign Sid or twitch.tv/Divine Knockout, right?
DKO Game.
DKO Game. Thank you very much. And yeah, you can find us on other places on the internet, but enough of my yapping. The last thing I will say as far as announcements, like I said, next week, roguelike day on Monday with me, our very first one. If you would like input on what games we will play, make sure to show up right on time. We'll have the times for that posted across all of our socials tomorrow. But visit that, and then catch Chris out here on Tuesdays. He'll be playing all sorts of different games. You've heard him play a bunch of different things here on the podcast. So he'll be live every Tuesday. Really looking forward to that. The time for that as well will be posted tomorrow. So thank you, everybody, for all of this New Year gaming goals and looks back and all this good stuff. We love that you're here, and you guys make this a wonderful community. So, without further ado, we're going to move on to the new one. Goodbye to everyone here on the podcast. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye.